Hello, you guys. I'm Rick Dancer. Welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. I'm super excited about the show tonight because this hits like all the really good stuff for me. You hear a lot about young people and they don't want to work and that kind of thing. That's not the case. It really is not. And you're going to meet a young man, a couple of young men, one through video, the other live on our show, who have started several companies and creative, coming up with great ideas. And the other thing that I love about this story you're going to hear tonight is these young men are very much into made in America. It's so much of the stuff we buy, the crap we have in our country is made in China, which we shouldn't be helping China right now. Made in Indonesia, other countries, when we've got people in our country who could be put to work and building products that last, not crap that you just end up at the Goodwill or something like that, So, and it's another thing that's a favorite topic of mine because this has to do with shaving, which I don't do anymore. But one of the products that Andy's going to come on and talk about is his razor, and made right here in Montana. And everything in it is from America. So that's going to be our show tonight. We're going to have an interesting conversation. I'm glad you're here. Let me get the sponsors in here because we can't do this without them. Chris Dendel, Family Dentistry. I love Michael Bratlin, the doctor. He's not only my best friend, but he's also a great dentist. But he loves freedom of speech, and he sponsors anything. He lets me do radio back in Oregon, where I'm from. He's letting me do all kinds of video, or I do radio broadcast back there, little commercials talking about good things about life and about people. Who else lets you do that but somebody who cares about freedom of speech? Also, Albert Taylor, Endless Possibilities. They work with people with different abilities. So if you're looking for a career change, something that might be more interesting for you, tell you it's hard work. You're working with people with what we used to call disabilities. I like to call them different abilities. But you know what? When you go home in the end of the day, you made their day. Also, you've never had a hyperbarics treatment. What the hell is wrong with you? New Leaf Hyperbarics and Wellness Center. They do massage, they do light therapy, they do sauna. But my favorite is the hyperbaric chamber. You sit in there for an hour and it's like taking over 1,000 Motrin without taking a drug. That's the effect it has on your body. It's amazing. And if you go in there and just say, yeah, you heard it on Rick Dancer, Matt will give you a deal for the first time. Here in Montana, you're looking for oral surgery. I know. Who's looking for an oral surgeon? Well, sometime you may need one. And they do great work. They're wonderful people. In Helena, they're in Bozeman, they're in Butte, and they're in Great Falls. And they're amazing people. And back in Oregon, Rames Heating and Air Conditioning. And if you're looking for, now is the time to get on their program to get yourself in, because you know what everybody does? I do this too. You wait till the last minute and then it's almost too late because you can't get in and it gets hot, it gets 90 degrees, and then your heating system goes out. That's not a good day. And also the Henkel Lending team right here from Helena, Montana. Greg is now in a new branch. His phone number is right there, 406-439-LOAN. He's awesome. He can help you if you're looking for a home, looking for ways to make that work. He is the man to talk to. All right, let's get to our topic. I'm going to bring Andy on here in just a second. There he is. Hey, Andy Abel. Good to see you, man.
Great. Good to see you.
Okay, so Andy, open confession here. He's a friend of my son's. But my son starts talking about him and going, Dad, he's a cool dude. And he made this really cool razor. And then he showed me the razor. And I'm like, that is the coolest razor. If I lost that thing, I'd be so mad because it's like kind of high-tech robotic looking, but old fashioned. You know what I mean? It's like what razors used to be. It's not those little cheap plastic Bic razors. But then there's a bigger story here. And that's what I want to talk with you about. We're going to show some of the razor and kind of show some of that. But you're just really into, you and your business partner, Made in America. Tell me kind of that story.
Yeah, totally. So I think the first thing, all credit as far as any design, any of that is concerned, goes to David. David is, he lives here in Bozeman or just outside of. He's a great designer. He designed this razor. You'll hear a little bit more about that later in the video. But he and I both are pretty passionate about creating things and doing the manufacturing here in the U.S. for several reasons. First of all, keeping jobs here. We both have ties to problems with international manufacturing that we're not fond of. And then we also really want to create quality. And I think that's a really tough thing to do when you're manufacturing something several thousand miles away. So keeping jobs, keeping quality, and then just providing a product that will last a lifetime. And that's, I think, something that both of us do across the businesses that we're involved with.
So Andy, why is quality so important, do you think? Do you think America's become too much of a throwaway? On one side of our mouth, we preach recycling and taking care of things, and then on the other side, we're the first people to throw all the shit out we can. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's like,
I think the biggest thing for me is like, in a lot of ways, sustainability is kind of bullshit the way that it's preached to us in a lot of places. I think, to me, sustainability is something that you buy once and lasts for a lifetime. So I think about things that I have in my life that have lasted a lifetime, right? Like a saddle or a firearm that was handed down to me from my grandfather, or in even some cases from his grandfather. And a knife, things like that are made of metal or leather or both, and things that if you take care of them, they'll continue to treat you well for the entirety of your life. And that is sustainability. If you only have to buy something once, then nothing ends up in a landfill. So.
Yeah, and it's like, I think one of the biggest culprits is shoes. You know what I mean? I remember my dad, I have a pair of his wingtips that are leather Red Wing. They don't fit me. I just kept them because they're so cool.
Yep.
They're too small for me. But those shoes, I remember my dad had a rack of wingtips, and he didn't have to buy new shoes all the time. Those shoes lasted forever.
I love that. I have 2 pairs of dress shoes. That's all I have, both of which were my grandfather's, and he bought them in like the mid 50s. And he just took like really good care of them. And they're still, I was at a wedding this weekend. I still wear those dress shoes. Like, I have literally just those 2 pairs of dress shoes. Both are my grandfather's, leather, well taken care of, made in the US. And I still wear them like whenever time.
Well, and it's interesting because we want cheap. Like, Americans want to buy cheap stuff, and then it doesn't last. And I have 2 pairs of Fry cowboy boots.
Yeah.
And then another one that I just bought, that it's not a Fry, but it's a really expensive $200 boot. I got it on sale.
Yeah.
But those, I will probably, Andy, have those boots for the rest of my life, because they just last. Even the oldest pair I have, that's a really shitty. I mean, it looks like I've really had ridden a horse, and I have on them, but it's not like I'm a horseback. I'm not a guy who pretends like I'm a cowboy. You know what I mean? But
no, totally. I think the other, there's some companies here, and the actual boots that we use are made in Italy, but they're still just real quality. It's Schnees is a company right here in Bozeman.
Yeah. I see.
Makes a really, really high-end boot that's great. And Jesse, and I obviously know Jesse from guiding in Nevada, working on elk hunting back there. But those are boots that, like, I have a pair that has literally, it's somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 miles on them on foot, let alone the amount of time that was on horseback, and it's like, they're expensive, but they last forever. And what more do you spend money on?
So you said the sustainability stuff we do, you think is kind of a crock of shit. What do you mean?
Well, I just think, there's a lot of, I guess what they call greenwashing, of like, hey, this is something, it's like a recycled plastic, or it's there's no metal here, or whatever it might be. But there's a lot of people try to make their product look like it's good for the environment, when in reality, in my opinion, if you just made something that was good forever, then you wouldn't have to be so concerned with that. I mean, even now in the shaving space, there's a lot of places, a lot of companies that are moving towards like taking a sustainability approach of, hey, this is made out of no plastic, it's only metal, which I think is great. But the problem is, if you make that in places like, overseas, where it could potentially be child labor, I'm not necessarily saying it is, but that's definitely a possibility. There's less regulation on emissions in these factories. It's like, then are you really helping the environment if you're pumping a bunch of chemicals and not following these standards, or if you're just treating people like shit and not paying them enough and having child labor and stuff like? Is that sustainable? Is that something that you want to be a part of?
See, I find I do a project called The Truth About Timber for people in the timber industry, and we're trying to tell the message, because you've got the they're reducing logging so much in Montana and Oregon and Washington and Northern California that now that they're buying logs from New Zealand and China. Well, we have standards here, despite what some in the environmental community think. We have standards that keep from ripping up the lakes, the rivers, to provide to get those logs out of there and not damage the ground as much as possible. And once they have messed it up, they go back and replant and straighten it out. They don't do that in China or New Zealand.
Totally.
And so we're taking our problem and pretending like, oh, look how virtuous I am, and we can still, we'll stop cutting timber here, and then allowing worse practices to happen somewhere else. Plus, there was a movement a few years ago, I remember, where it's like, try to buy things within 200 miles of where you live.
Yeah, right.
New Zealand is not 200 miles from where I live.
Close.
I mean, that's what I think. That's what I'm interested in, that topic, that when you're talking about that, it's here, check your messaging. You know what I mean? If you're using recycled products when you could, make something that will last, like shoes and a great coat, that you're spending $300-400 with, you put the money in up front, and you're going to have that for generations, and not have to go out and buy the latest cheap, crappy little jacket. You know what I mean?
Certainly. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. And the other piece on that too is freight, right? Anything you do overseas has to get here. It doesn't just appear, so.
Right.
I'm sure that's even bigger into something like the logging industry, but any kind of good that comes over here doesn't just show up,
So this is really, see, now mine's doing it. This is really big. When you're talking about, for you, this is a big deal because of your family, the Made in America. Tell people the story about what happened to your grandpa and your dad.
Yeah. So both sides of my family worked I actually grew up in Ohio. So moved out to Montana to guide several years ago, but I grew up in Ohio. So Ohio, now known as the Rust Belt, I have a lot of family ties to the steel plants there. So my grandpa worked for Republic Steel, which was essentially put out of business as a result of international manufacturing and steel production going overseas. But he worked there. He was forced into an early retirement, really before he was ready to retire, able to retire. And they gave him two options. When he was forced out, he could either take a pension or take a lump sum. And luckily he took a lump sum. But what happened was, anyone and a lot of his friends who took the pension and were supposed to get payments monthly for the rest of their lives, well, in the bankruptcy, they lost all that. Right. So they were just kind of SOL. So luckily my grandpa made the smart decision, took the cash up front and managed his investments himself. But that, worked out for him. So then my dad, on the other side, in the earlier part of his career, the first half of his career, he was an engineer, and he worked in factory automation in a lot of those steel mills and different plants, kind of in that Northeast Ohio down even into West Virginia space. And it's kind of same deal. Like a lot of that manufacturing went overseas, and the kind of demand shifted, and he eventually ended up kind of half quitting and half being fired from his job as a result of just less steel production in the U.S. So for me, I've been directly affected by the movement of manufacturing overseas. And it's something that luckily, our family was able to work through, and my dad started another business in a totally different industry and made that work. But it's something we were able to work through, but not all families were. So like for me, it's really important to, as we're building these companies, do as much as we can here, not only produce in the United States, but also put the employee first. And I think that's just, there's no substitute for that. So,
because now on your, and we'll show the video, on the Razor, you guys have this really super cool, like little leather pouch that goes in. And so tell them about because you couldn't find American made leather that would work.
Yeah. So, and for anyone watching, I have the case here. This will come up again.
Oh, show them. Yeah.
But here, this is the case. And this is all made here. So this, we make right here in Belgrade, as it's stamped on the back, made in Montana. And this is something that was really difficult for us to do. The packaging that we sent these razors out in before was a box, which was like, it's cool. It looked good. It had a good, unboxing experience, if you will. But what we realized is people would open the box and throw the whole thing away. And it's like, well, that was junk, so why don't we make something that's going to carry their razor forever? So we made these cases, and then these cases, unroll, and then the razor and all that razor stand and blades are all included right there. So, so then I got into leather in the United States, which didn't ever anticipate my career heading that way, but started looking into that and realizing how few tanneries there were in the US.
Huh.
And, David and I starting this company are all self-funded. So it's like really difficult for us to like make the cash flow work on this, especially early in the company. And in order to get anyone's attention in the US for any kind of leather, you needed these massive order quantities. So on our first order, like this leather was actually tanned in Brazil. So, and that was the only way we could make it happen. Now, what we've done since is our next order will be all leather out of Seidel. That's one of the few tanneries left here in the United States, and that's all. It'll be American. We'll actually go back and forth between bison and cows, but American bison, American cows, tanned in the U.S. and all done here. We finally are at a point where we can fund that, and that's really the direction we want to go the whole time. But it's just so hard to do right off the bat. So. So this original leather was tanned in Brazil, but everything else here, the aluminum, all the machining, all the blades, everything else was 100% made in the U.S. And even the leather itself, we like bought this leather. It looked like a half of a cow, right? And we bought all the machinery we needed to stamp that out and stitch it together and create this case that we have now.
So how did you guys come together with this, deciding like, okay, so a razor is going to be the thing we're going to hang our hat on here?
Yeah, it's really funny. So David and I both have other companies, actually, ironically enough, both in the off-road space. So I started another company called Glue Tread that repairs the sidewall of any off-road tire.
So tell people how that works, because Jesse was, I have my wife and I are mountain bikers,
Sure.
And I had a flat, and Jess goes, "Oh, Dad, you could use," but it's on the top, so it wasn't on the sidewall. And I was going, "Ah," and he tells me about it. I'm going, "That's genius." So this is like it works on the sidewall if you get a puncture on the side of your wheel tire.
Yeah. So there isn't any other product that can repair the sidewall of the tire. Forever, everyone was like, "Oh, if you have damage in the sidewall, you have to get a new tire. There's no way to repair it." So in full transparency, the product is not approved for on-road use. We focus specifically on off-road use. It's not approved by the Department of Transportation. So, but there's a huge market in agriculture, in mining, in recreational off-road, whatever it might be, overlanding or rock crawling or anything like that. And then into power sports as well. And these are all places where if you have a flat tire or have damage to your sidewall, you're a long way from help and you need to be able to repair it and get back to safety. So that is what the product does. It's a really simple, it's at face value, very simple. It's adhesive and rubber. And essentially use the adhesive that we provide with the rubber that we provide in the kit and put on the outside of the tire. You don't have to remove the tire from the vehicle or anything like that. It's much more complex when you get into how both of those two things came to be, but at face value, it's very simple. So
how did you come up with that idea though?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the classic, whatever, American dream. There was this problem and we fixed it. My dad was backing up. He just bought new tires for his ATV, which our family is inherently, cheap. We don't want to spend money if we don't have to. And my dad's backing up this ATV and it jackknifed, the trailer jackknifed and put a hole in the sidewall of his tire. And he's like, "Well, I really don't want to buy a brand new tire because this is a brand new tire." And he got to working on that. And then together we kind of went back and forth and figured out, it kind of took a roundabout way to get there, but eventually figured out that you can repair the sidewall of the tire. And that's kind of how we ended up there.
So we hear so much in our culture today about how 30-year-olds are lazy and don't work and don't want to work and all that stuff. Do you, what, I mean, obviously that's not you, but what do you think of what's going on? I mean, with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm really fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of young professionals in that age range that are very driven. I think a lot of that's intentional. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Bozeman specifically can be a difficult place to live, or anything in this area. It's expensive. The winters are hard and long. All of the recreational activities around here are difficult, whether you're running or rafting or biking or hunting or whatever it is. So I think it kind of breeds someone that's pretty ambitious, and people who are drawn to this place stay for those reasons. So I don't know. I feel like I don't have that same perception, just that the people that I interact with that are my age at this point are all pushing it. And I think it's fun. It's really cool to be a part of.
Because you also guide, you hunt, you're a hunting guide and you're a fishing guide. And you kind of, just from what Jesse, my son and friends, is what he tells me is but you just fill your time with niches. You're finding the things you like doing. And so you're staying real busy, but you're not afraid, are you?
Yeah, I think And I'm not a fishing guide. I did guide some hunting, but I do some fishing, but I'm not nearly as talented as Jesse is. But I guess I don't know. I have a particularly high risk tolerance in those things, I guess, whether it be financial risk or otherwise. And I think that's when I think about, some of the whether it be other people went to school with or that I've run into that, might fall into the category that you described earlier. It was like, people who aren't working as hard. I think a lot of times that can be um, mistaken in that they are willing to work hard, but they're not willing to take the risk. And then I think that they're not being pushed by employers at times. So I don't know. I think the biggest thing there is I just have a high risk tolerance, and I want to make a difference in the community that I am, and whether that's providing jobs through a company or just wanting to spend more time outside, I guess.
Well, isn't that exciting too, though? Because when if you go back to all the good stories, you can go
Yeah,
back to the Bible and do Abraham. He had a great life, and
yeah,
then all of a sudden God comes along. He's a shepherd and he's doing his thing, and God comes along and says, "Hey, you want to risk everything, and I'll make you a father of great nations." And he's dumb enough to say yes. His risk tolerance was like yours,
sure,
and and life gets really hard then. Because
yeah.
it sounds great. You're here, but I'm sure there's a lot of blood and sweat and tears that have gone into all of this.
Yeah, Jesse and I joke about frequently. I mean, when I met Jesse, I was guiding because I needed something I could make a little money on the side and then focus on glue tread in the meantime. I was living in the back of a Ford Ranger, and I remember Jesse and my boss at the time, the guy that owned the outfit, Blaine, was like, I pulled up and he's like, "So where do you live?" And I was like, "Oh, well, wherever the truck's parked." And he just started laughing. He's like, "No, like, what's your address?" I was like, "No, I literally don't have an address. I literally live in the back of this Ford Ranger." And I think that's just, for me at the time, it was great, right? I was like 24, 25. And I was
Right.
like, I don't know, when you're young like that, and you don't care and you just want to make something happen. It's like, I'll just sleep wherever I park. It's easy.
Right.
But yeah,
Well, but there's some ambition in that. You know what I mean? Because you didn't want to just be, and that probably comes from your family too, a little bit. You think?
100%. Yeah. I saw my dad in particular. He had like two sections to his career, one of which he was an engineer for 17 years. Then he started his own business after that. And I saw the way that, his ambition, and through my mom's support in making that all possible too. I don't ever want to underplay that, but
Right.
through their teamwork, it drastically improved the life that my sister and I had. And I saw that, like, he just wasn't able to get there working for someone else and not taking risks. In his words, he was like, I was already failing at what I was doing. I wasn't able to be really a part of your life. In his engineering job, he's like, I couldn't go to your baseball games. I had to work late nights, all this other stuff. He's like, that was failing to me. I want to be a part of the family and be able to support for the family. So it was already failing. The only way to win was to start my own business. So there really wasn't any risk of failure because you're already in that. So he just went for it. And I've spent a lot of time talking with him on that. And I think that's been pretty inspiring just to see the two different kinds of life that can be provided. Yeah.
Do you think that when you have an attitude like yours, that you naturally kind of draw people like that? You know what I mean? If you have a positive attitude and you're a risk taker,
Yeah.
um, and I think, like, for me, I was a TV news anchor for like 30 years, and somebody signed my check.
Yeah.
I quit and left. I was so much happier
Yeah.
but it's harder,
Oh, it's
way
very hard.
harder. But
Yeah.
it was like I didn't have anybody telling me, I could try things on my TV show that I had or my
Yeah.
videos that if I went to my boss and said, I want to try this, they'd go, well, all the reasons you can't do it. And I
Right.
could just do it. And then if it failed, I never did it again.
Yeah.
But if,
Totally.
but if it worked,
Right.
it,
Yeah.
wa- it was magic. And
Totally.
you go, so you're looking for that thing that kind of makes you come alive.
Yeah.
Because don't you feel like a lot of the world that we live in right now is so fearful and so afraid
Yeah.
that you wonder if we're not our own worst enemies? Because we all the like, if you ask somebody, hey, you should start a razor company. Oh, well, it's going to be hard to get the product. You're not going to find any employees. Where are you going to get the blade?
Yeah.
What a leather pack? Oh, why not just get it in America? Because get it overseas because it's going to
Right.
be easier. And then all the challenge is gone for you if you just fold to all that, because you
Yeah.
kind of get off on, how much more can I find that is made in America, and where do I have to go to get it?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I mean, that has, I mean, literally happened today. I mean, I'm trying to get the next step of this rolling, and it's like really difficult. I could make one phone call overseas and have the problem solved. And it's just a matter of just like refusing, I guess, to do that, which is something that Dave and I are both doing. We're refusing to take the easier path. I think that's just a theme in both of our lives. In our outer business, just refuse to take the easier path, but do what's right. And, by whatever your definition of that is, and pursue that.
Yeah. Okay, so since David's not here, we should bring him in because I don't want to cause any problems between be part of some business divorce or something, So you guys, they produced a video. It's a really short video, but it'll show you kind of how the razor's made and what it is, and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about the razor. So hang on, just hit here.
This is the razor that I ended on, and I made 2 prototypes, and I just used it, and it worked great. And I never thought it would turn into a company. I honestly thought it was going to die with me and just get thrown away. I'm David, and I'm a co-founder of Proof. All of the men on my side of the family, grandpa, uncles, dad, me, we can't grow a full beard. And being in Montana, it's like full beard or clean shaven. So clean shaven. I hated shaving, and I really wanted it to make it an experience that was enjoyable. And so I wanted this to be something where you could display it in your bathroom and be proud of it, have it out. And whenever you picked it up to shave, you just thought, like, this is a nice tool, and this is going to be an enjoyable experience. Along this journey, I met Andy.
My name's Andy, and I'm a co-founder at Proof. I think across the country, everyone has some tie to manufacturing going overseas. For me, my dad lost his job as a result of that, and actually so did my grandfather. That's part of the reason why it's so important for me to manufacture something here in the United States, and that's why we went with the name Proof. We wanted to prove that yes, it is harder to manufacture things here and it is more expensive, but we are proof that it is possible, and we want to take the lead in providing a high quality product and providing good jobs in our community and really making a product that we're proud of.
This is it. This is the proof. And the shop, that's the proof that you can make a great product in the US and build a company around it. My whole goal was to make the best razor for shaving my face to improve that experience.
That's really cool. And I don't know if people saw, but I think one of the features Jesse showed me when he was home, one of the features of this razor, it has a little handle, the holder, and it sticks on your mirror.
Yep.
And it'll keep sticking forever. I mean, you can take it off though, but you can then put it on another location.
Yep.
And so then you can go in your bathroom, and on your mirror is your razor. You could just pull it off your mirror, off the mirror.
Yeah.
And I think that is, I mean, see, now that to me, like, is the kind of cool guy stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't have one, but it looks like in your hand, it would feel good. You know what I mean? Like, it has that. Yeah. It looks like you're holding something substantial. And for, I mean, I'm not trying to be Mr. Macho here, but for dudes, I think that's important. You got to, I want something I don't need a little Bic plastic razor to do my face. I want something I grab off the mirror, I take it, and it's a manly thing,
Totally. Yeah, no, I agree. I think to me, it's just like a quality thing. Like, there is no plastic on here. You've got, you have magnets, that'll just, it'll sit on there and it'll stay. And it's just something that's like, when you hold this, like, this is going to last. Like, nothing on here is going to break. You know what I mean? It's just like, you can throw this against the wall and it would be just the same as when you pick it up,
And people using the old-fashioned blades, they just fold them in half, right?
Yeah, totally. So, that was the other thing we wanted to do. We didn't want to lock people into like a proprietary blade like you have with literally every other shaving company. Yeah. So the way it works, if you're familiar with a double-edged safety razor blade, that's one of these. These range in price from, 5 cents to 20 cents. So all you do is you take the blade here and you just snap it. It snaps in half, and then you take it out of the wrapper. And then it fits right into the cap. So as I showed before, this cap comes off, and then this snaps in, and it's all magnetic. So it'll snap down like that. that'll slip on, and then you're ready to shave. So it's super simple, and it's like, again, you're not locked into some lifelong subscription to some other company. It's I mean, yeah, we have blades that are made in the US. And if you want to buy ours, that's great. But if you want to buy some other blade made somewhere else that works better for you, that's fine. You know, it's whatever you want.
You get two blades out of one. So that's very sustainable, you know, kind of thing for people.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is you can throw it in the recycling. Like, you use the blades if you're really concerned with it, put them all in a tin and you can throw them in the recycling at your normal, whatever, whoever picks up your recycling. It's like, if you're that concerned about it, go for it, you know?
Well, I like how that blade goes on there, this cover goes on too, because it's easy, and you are dealing with men.
Yeah.
We like things easy. We don't want things that we have to work at to,
yeah.
Especially when you're shaving. It's like, this had better be an easy experience or I'm done.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. We're really happy with where we are now, and we're going to continue improving on it, but it's, what we think is a really great product. And I mean, the reviews have been really cool to see recently too, as we're really starting to move quite a few of these razors. Just the reviews that come in. We never filter a review. If anyone ever leaves a bad review, we let it stay. It doesn't matter, but they're just not out there. You know, it's something that, people really enjoy using.
So how many people work for you? And you're in Belgrade, which, for people that are not in Montana, from my Oregon audience, Belgrade is just basically right outside of Bozeman. So Bozeman, Montana. Belgrade is a little suburb of Bozeman. And that's like, for me, it's about 45 minutes to an hour away. So
yeah, totally. I think it's always a funny question, like how many people. It's like, so between David and I, David has another company in the off-road space that makes aluminum phone mounts for like guys that ride really hard on motorcycles or dirt bikes or whatever. And then I have Glue Tread, and all of these companies kind of work together. So like, in the midst of all those companies, we have probably 15 or 16 employees. And we all, it's everything from assembly to manufacturing to customer service, product fulfillment. It's, so I don't know, between all those companies, like 15 or 16 employees, but we're just kind of, I guess, using the economies of scale and just providing as many opportunities as we can at this point.
And your sister does your marketing for you.
Yeah. My sister is she's the one that's doing everything you see on social media. She's making all that happen for both Glue Tread and for Proof, and another company we have as well. Yeah. So it's really a family endeavor over here for sure.
Well, and I bet with your employees too, everybody feels like you're part of something. That's
totally.
That could be, I mean, this could be, you see, Harry's and Jeremy's and all these razor companies that are coming in, but this is something, again, for the person who's really concerned about sustainability and durability. You'll never have to buy another razor again in your life.
Yeah, that's the goal.
How much are they about?
Yeah, they're this one right here with the blades and the stand and the case and everything's $120, and that comes with the case and the razor and the blades, everything you need. So,
and is it? Do people go to? Is it Proof? What's your website?
Yeah, just proofrazor.com. Yeah,
proofrazor.com. Yeah. So what do you like about doing this stuff the most for you? What kind of makes Andy Auble come alive?
I think the first thing is being around good people and driven people and people who have views that are aligned, I suppose, and are willing to work hard and take risks and make it happen, not scared. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is just is the challenge in it and being able to go through that with a community, which is really fun. It's there, like we talked about earlier, it's easier. It'd be a lot easier to do this in a different way, but we're just not willing to do that. So
do you, why Montana?
So when I moved out, I worked at a ranch for the first time in Nevada in like 2013, 2014. And then I grew up in Ohio where we don't really have public land. And got out here and I was like, the idea of public land hit me. I was like, wait, so I can hunt on any of this or camp on any of it, whatever. So that really hit me. And then as I was starting Glue Tread, I actually was guiding in Yellowstone, just backpacking in Yellowstone National Park. And, that's what brought me to Bozeman. And then Bozeman was just like, to me, this is like exactly what I want. It's great access to the mountains. I can hunt like 9 months out of the year. And there's just great people here, and the weather's tough sometimes, but it doesn't bother me. I kind of like it. So,
well, don't you think I think that's what, when people ask me, why'd you move to Montana? And I think it's because the people here, you kind of have to be a rugged individualist to do this. You know what I mean? You can't be. I mean, there are people who aren't, but most of them don't stay here year round or anything like that. But you have to. They call it the last great place, I think, because you really have to want to be here.
Yeah.
When it's minus 52 and the wind's blowing, and in Bozeman you have 6 feet of snow.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely something to that.
Because on a day like today and this coming weekend, when it's going to be beautiful and 80 degrees, that's your payoff.
Yeah.
And you kind of enjoy it. The shorter summer, it's like you just get everything in that period of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, long days, and you feel like you have to take advantage of all of it. So,
and I think a lot of kind of dreamers come here, don't you kind of think?
Yeah, I mean, I think just looking at the startup community in Bozeman and the really cool outdoor companies that have come out of here in like the last, 5, 10, 15, 20 years is like really cool. I think it really breeds, like I said, people that are dreaming and want to make it happen and do it their way. So
what's the next venture?
Oh man, if I started anything else right now, Amy would kill me. My family would kill me. I'm pretty tapped at the moment, but we're definitely going to be focusing on Glue Tread and Proof for a while, and we're pretty excited to do so.
So what's next for the Razor? What do you want to? It's there, but what do you is it the marketing of it and getting it out, the word out about it?
Yeah, I think that's something that we're definitely. It's hard. The razors are. I mean, look how many razor options there are out there. It's a flooded space, and it's something that we're focusing on. We've got some really cool stuff coming up with some other companies locally that we're going to be working together on some stuff. And we have other ideas for other improvements to the razor maybe, or, different materials, things like that we're going to continue improving on. But really just getting the word out right now is what we're focusing on. So,
you should look at No Shave November.
Yeah.
I'm a prostate cancer survivor. They have a huge thing where it's No Shave November and growing out your beard. And for that, like the end of it,
right.
Join up with a local barbershop or something, and then we're going to prove to you what everything is, at the end, and shave off people's beards and their facial hair and stuff like that. It'd be really fun, I mean, and you get in that space where I think people would really appreciate that too. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, certainly.
Well, Andy, man, that was just so fun to talk to you. And,
I appreciate you having me on.
No, and I'm excited to see that. And I'll have to get on your website. I want to order one of those. Because I do have little spaces here that I do shave. As long as I'm going to do it, I want to walk into my mirror and just go, or at the gym, I can show off it. Oh, is that a plastic polluting, non-sustainable razor that you're using?
You're going to throw that away later?
I feel so much better about myself. I'm going to pass this one down to my sons. With this whole thing, and you're going to throw your Bic. Yeah, we could be really snotty. We could get really snotty about it. Oh, you use one of those.
Yeah, right.
I used to throw garbage out the window too, and then I learned that that's not good for the environment. Go on a whole guilt campaign.
Yeah.
All right, so proofrazor.com.
Yeah, that's right.
And check them out. You're buying a sustainable product that's made in Montana, which is pretty dang cool. Even that alone. Yeah. If you were somebody from another state and you shave with a Montana proof razor,
totally,
don't you instantly just become even more manly just by doing that?
Yeah, we're doing studies on that. I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to be.
I think instantly you feel like I could kill a grizzly bear. I mean, you just get more macho just by using it. God, I can't wait till mine comes. Look out, my wife's going to be in trouble. I'm going to be running around the house with my razor. Andy, it's good talking to you.
Yeah, you too, Rick. I appreciate it.
All right, see you later, man.
Yeah, we'll see you.
All right, so that's it. Proofrazor.com, and you guys check them out. Go look at it, and they have on their website. There's other videos too that go through other things that they're doing. But I love that story because I think young people do care about some of the things we don't think that they do care about, and they're doing it in a non-virtuous seeking way. They're doing it because it feels right, and it is right. They're not doing it to get attention and marketing it that way. So I really appreciate that. Share this on your page. Let other people know about it. If you got a dude in your life, get them one of these razors. They'll be more dudely, if that's even a word. I mean, they'll be yeah. You got one of these. Oh, Father's Day is coming up. Yeah. If you got, don't get dad a stupid tie. I'm telling you, another soap on a rope. I don't know what that is for. I don't understand why anybody stuck rope in a soap, but I don't get it. But don't buy that crap. They won't. Get him something like this, $120. You could buy him a razor that they're going to go, this is the coolest Father's Day gift I ever had. Jesse, I hope you're listening, because you could, this is, I mean, $120 is not that much to spend on me, your dad. You know the crap I put up with you? You know how many diapers I changed on you? $120. Come on. Go join forces with your brother. It's $60 a piece, you little lightweights. All right, I'm Rick Dancer. Share it on your page. Have a good night. Thanks, you guys. See you later.